Hardhat's all about showing up to play hard, doing what it takes to win.
If you want to cement legacy, win another.
He's your third center.
You don't want to pump him up too much, but it's hard not to.
This is maybe the most I've ever agreed with you.
What's going on, everybody? John Zannis, Bobby Manning. Yep, we got an early start on this one. We're going to have others joining us shortly, but Bobby wanted to jump in and get a pound of flesh before he ran off to do his post-game gathering responsibilities and before Joe Mazzulla takes the podium, which we are going to bring to you live. But first off, we are here to tell you that the Celtics predictably fell to a undermanned Dallas Mavericks team one game after taking down the number one team in the NBA or in the Eastern Conference. They fall 127-120, and let's not pay any attention to the score. This was a stay-ready crew, keeping it close. Starters were pulled. What did it get to 24 points? But nine and change left in the fourth quarter. A three-pointer made it a 24-point game, and Joe Mazzulla had
114 points allowed in three quarters and 3 minutes.
Yep, exactly. So we're going to find out what it wasn't about, I'm sure, very soon in the postgame. It wasn't this, and it wasn't that, and it wasn't this, and why we don't know what we're talking about, an untrained eye, and X, Y, and Z. Anybody who's ever watched 5-year-olds play basketball can tell you that the defense was a freaking joke all game long. And you want to tell me it's not effort? Fine. Dallas played really well, but you want to tell me this is anything other than I just didn't feel like giving it my all tonight? And that
Luka's out, Davis is out. We got this.
So I don't know. Bobby, you go.
It's what I've talked about all year. The defense is not where it needs to be. And this was a new low. This is worse than we've seen yet. But it's a related issue to other games that we've watched this year. All you have to do, John, is go back to Sunday to see a similar game, a similar start. And even though they went crazy to finish that game defensively and hitting shots, we asked after that game, all right, did they turn up the defense and then create some good shots, or did shots just fall and that's what caused them to start playing great defense? Now we know our answer. The only reason they won that game is because they shot 14 for 20 from three down the stretch. They decided to get going energy-wise after that, and it looked great. But it required 14 for 20 3-point shooting. You didn't get that down the stretch tonight, and you didn't guard. So you faded from this game 3 minutes into the fourth quarter. And for all the talk that night, John, about, oh, do you guys want to play? You know, maybe I'll sit you down at half from Joe's perspective. And I'm sure he did say that. He didn't do it. And so they went out, they won that game.
That's where you're stuck. This is a problem. And this is where you're stuck a little bit here if you're Joe Mazzulla. This is also why, and I'll bring in Jimmy Toscano, giving us the double thumbs up.
Let me finish real quick, John. They should have done it tonight. They should have done it tonight. They should have followed through on that, went to halftime, because this was pretty clearly not a game at halftime, at least effort-wise. They weren't showing the commensurate effort to win this game. You could have made that call again, Jimmy, to
What's up, Bobby?
pull the plug on this game. And
Recap the last 3 minutes. What are you hot on right now? What did I miss?
It was just a disgrace.
Well, before we recap it.
Well, I didn't know how long you were gone, so I couldn't continue the convo.
Before
we said it
before we recap
words,
it,
but that's all you
I just want to. No. I want to comment on this because this is really important.
Can we burn Tuesday's show? Can we just burn the tapes?
So this is also why I'm so glad I wasn't on that show because I would have had to pretend, oh, they can flip the switch. And
I'm getting so sick of those games.
But I got to get this out because this I think this matters a lot. This is why you can only have like one players only meeting, right? Because you can only play that card once, and then whatever happens after that is all you can do. You can't have another players meeting. Like, that's got to work. And if it doesn't work, then you're screwed. Joe Mazzulla can only do that. If you guys don't want to play, I'll freaking bench your asses once. And he did it, and it worked. And then they did the same exact thing, Bobby, in a week, less than a week. The same exact thing. An undermanned team came out and chose to not play at all. what's Mazzulla going to do there? You guys want to sit this one, or am I going to bench your asses again?
Yeah.
Like it's not. You can't take it seriously at that point. At that point, he's just got. At that point, he's just got to bench him. He's played that card. Oh, I motivated him that time. You can't do it again and again. So if he went into halftime and said, "Do you guys want to sit, or are you serious?" and they said, "No, we'll play," and then did this, bad. The whole thing is bad. So
We've seen it too much, and most importantly, Jimmy, they fell to 16-10 at home tonight.
They stink at home, man.
They have twice as many losses at home as they did last year.
What I say last show, Bobby, these guys, doesn't matter if they're on the road in the playoffs. They like being on the road. They're better on the road. They embrace negativity. Isn't that what I said, Bobby? They want to prove people wrong.
Well, they got booed tonight
You
at times.
support them, they'll flop. If you tell them what they can't do, they'll prove you wrong. And so when they're the enemy, they like rally around that and they win. When they're home and everyone's telling them how great they are, they don't show up. It's like whatever. What's the excuse going to be tonight, John? What are we going to hear? There's a number of them, right? But
yeah. Well,
flat tonight.
The first game back off a road trip is always a tough re-entry.
Yeah,
I think there are going to be some excuses.
They look different.
We got Joe.
Joe, it's easy to ask this retroactively because they made a big run at the end there, but in games like this where
why didn't
maybe
you play him earlier?
There's stuff working against you with the road trip and coming back from that, and is there maybe some evidence here that some of those bench guys maybe could get minutes earlier as like an energy boost?
Yeah, I thought they did a great job when they went in, just putting us in position to have a little energy and a shot to bring it back. So that's a credit to them for putting us in that position.
And another home
Talk
loss.
about how you didn't play
it's kind of tough to explain. Like, what do you think is going into all these losses at home when you were? I know we've asked this before, but I mean, it just keeps on happening.
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, regardless of where you play, you just got to stick to the process of winning. So the things that go into winning, you just have to do those home and away. So that's the most important thing.
Coach, as we know, Kyrie Irving is one of the best players for stealing. What was your strategy before the game for his stealing performance?
Well, he had 4 of them, so he did a good job of that. But, yeah, he's a great player. Both ends of the floor. He's got quick hands. He has the ability to time passes, time dribbles. And, he did a good job of that in the first half.
And also, your bench players, do you think it will be a problem at the playoff or at the finals also? Your bench players' performance, do you think it will be an issue?
Do you think your bench stinks?
No, not at all.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Joe, you've talked in the past a lot about how offense can affect your guys' defense. You missed a lot of layups earlier.
I'm worried for Jack.
How much do you think some of your defensive problems were directly related to that versus sort of taking that out of the equation and just being better on defense?
I think first half was a little bit of both, right? They had 21 points in transition. It was a combination. 10 of those were off our turnovers, and then the other 11 were probably a combination of a missed layup that puts you in a disadvantaged situation. Plus, Klay Thompson had a great first half. So I think it was a combination of both of those things where it was a transition defense because of the product. We were 8 for 18 on layups in the first half. Missed layup is just as dangerous as a live ball turnover because of the ability to get out in transition. So just a combination of Thompson getting hot, us not doing a great job on him, and then a combination of our 8 for 18 on layups and the live ball turnovers. So that plays a part in it.
And then when you look at what the bench guys did at the end of that game, how much of that type of thing sticks in your mind when you're looking for rotation decisions in future games, or maybe looking to insert some of those guys for energies? Like, how important is a stretch like that for you when you're looking to make future?
Oh, it's huge. Yeah, I mean, that's everything, right? I mean, everybody has a role. Everyone has to perform, and they did a great job of doing that. And to me, that goes a long way into finding when guys can be able to help us regardless of the situation. So it's a credit to them. I thought they handled it really well, and that was good.
Joe, in the offseason, you said you didn't just want the target on your back. You wanted to see the red dot between your eyes. You were animated about the pressure of being the repeat champions. And teams have responded in kind. This is a finals rematch.
Rich,
Dallas comes out fast.
wave him out of there.
They
Come on,
score
Twister.
in bunches. It looks like that target is indeed on your back, if not between the eyes. How are you enjoying that pressure? How do you think you're navigating that pressure? And do you think the players agree with you on that?
I think it's been great. I mean, again, there's no compass as to what it's supposed to look like. And, so at the end of the day, the regular season gives us a ton of information of the things that we need to build towards. And it's been a great journey. I mean, that's part of it. And so thanks for reminding me of that. And I'm having a blast.
Joe,
What?
is
Look
it
how much
to the
fun
point
we're
this season
having.
where you're not sure, quite sure
really
how you
fun.
guys are going to perform from game to game? Like sometimes you just can't call it. 7 turnovers in the first quarter after winning at Cleveland, playing a complete game there. Then the sloppiness, is that catching you off guard, or is there a reason why you guys come home from trips and just aren't as focused?
Well, I think you make an interesting point there because I didn't think we played a complete game in Cleveland, but the win can disguise some of those things. So at the end of the day, it's more about the process of what we're looking to do. We had stretches of really bad basketball at the end of the first half of Cleveland, but we were able to work through that. And so to me, the result, doesn't matter as much as the process working towards that. So I didn't think we played a complete game in Cleveland, and I didn't think we played one tonight. It was just longer stretches of the process and the details that we didn't do a great job of.
Can you put your finger on the inconsistency?
You said it best. I mean, there were 7 turnovers in the first quarter. We were 8 for 18 on layups, and they had 21 points in transition. So I thought that, put us in a tough spot in the first half.
And defensively, you made adjustments to Thompson, but Marshall and Dinwiddie and Exum, is that because of confidence now that those guys have confidence that they're doing that? Like,
I have no idea about those guys' confidence.
Yeah, but just
I've never spoken to them.
No, I know, Joe, but do other guys get confidence when they make early shots?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, if you see the first one go in, I think that, everybody's different. I have no idea how they respond psychologically to it, but I would imagine if a player sees the first one go in, then they got a better chance of making the next 2 or 3. I would think so, but yeah.
Joe, I know it's not the main thing from tonight, but just that fourth quarter stretch, what do you think enabled them to, I think Drew Peterson and Miyashiketa, they outscored those guys by 17 in their 9 minutes. So what do you think was kind of the key to that run that maybe you can kind of build off of?
I mean, they played great. I mean, they played with energy. They played with, they executed on both ends of the floor, and they did their job. So it's a credit to them. But they played with they were just ready to play when they went out there. So it was good.
Joe, you talk about the process a lot. You have a game like this where you miss a lot of layups. It's not a normal thing. You guys generally take care of the ball, but you turn it over a lot. It's easy to kind of look at that and say it's an aberration. But you talk about the process. How do you avoid somebody maybe blowing this off as, well, this just doesn't usually happen, and have it be like a focus on, well, we didn't have a good process, and to internalize it and take it and learn from it and all that stuff?
I mean, I think you take a look at, what are we, second in the league in turnover percentage, and we're top in 2-point field goal percentage. So the process is what we've done over the course of, we've played 45 games. So that's the process, is what we've done over the course of the entire season.
Right. So when a game like this happens, is it like you just blow it off and be like, well, it's part of the bigger number, or like, because
I mean, you definitely don't blow it off. You watch them, you look at them, you understand where you have to be better. Some of them came because of our spacing, some of them came because of our ball security. So no, you don't blow it off. But from the standpoint of like what we do, you look to do over the course of a long period of time. And so no, you definitely don't blow it off. We'll watch it, we'll figure out where we need to get better on those, and then you trust the process of what we've done over the course of a 45 game stretch or whatever it is, that we'll more times than not be the best version of ourselves. You know what I mean?
Thank you, Joe.
Thanks.
Well, that was Joe Mazzulla. Press conference here at TD Garden, where the Celtics, again, go down in ugly fashion. Don't pay attention to the score. That's not what it was.
Yeah.
127-120. Bobby, I know you got to head out here. Couple quick notes off of Joe Mazzulla. Look, it's to be expected, and I've told you my thoughts on what he says versus what he says to us versus what he's saying there.
I don't agree with you, John.
I know. I'm just saying, I know it enrages fans and media. What bothers me, though, is the notion of process. If he actually does believe it, that's a bit of a problem. Because one thing that stood out to me that he said, we did some of the things well, but just, and the other night, some of the things not well. It's just, we did we did the process for longer stretches last game than this game. Like, no shit. Like, if I'm driving my car and like I crash it 8 times, but I didn't crash it for 2 minutes, I'm not concerned about the process. Like, I crashed my car 8 times. Doesn't matter that I drove well for 2 minutes, in 2 different stretches. Like, it doesn't work that way. Like, you crashed the freaking car, Joe, over and over and over again. Who cares if you made it from this corner to that corner? Oh, that was good driving. Like, that's so dumb. It's a game. And you gave up 67 points at the half, 114 through friggin', it was 39 minutes. Like, it was all bad. All of it. There's nothing about the process that worked tonight. None of it. So just scrap it once. Just once. Say it was all bad. There was no process. We did nothing right. Nothing.
Yeah, no,
that drives me nuts. There was nothing about it.
You crashed the car, Joe.
And
you
again,
crashed
John,
the freaking car, Joe.
You did it again, Joe. You backed out of the parking spot and you crashed
John,
the car.
To your point.
Yeah, but did you see how I turned the car on? That was good.
Yeah.
Anyway.
To your point, too.
See that curve?
You can't go back to I'm going to bench you guys a halftime thing. How many times can you go back to we're having fun and this is great?
That drives you crazy.
But I think that's just him being difficult. Like, he's just messing with you. Right. That's him just being obstinate.
That's not the process. That's the journey. There's a difference here. So, like, there's a process along the journey,
that's
Bobby,
just
and you
obstinance.
have to enjoy.
Yeah,
you have to appreciate the process and enjoy the journey, because all of a sudden it'll end. And if you just have your eyes on the end, you'll miss all the ups and downs that got you to the end. You understand, Bobby? It's okay. You'll get it someday.
No, I don't get it.
That's how Joe. That's how Joe
I don't
wants
understand.
to sound. Yeah,
and you know what? None of us do.
And then when somebody, and it doesn't matter, because then when somebody like Gary compliments like the last game, you got a complete game.
Oh yeah, it was actually bad.
We actually didn't have a complete game, even though what did he have to say after that game? Thought we had a lot of good shots in the first half that just didn't go down. Now all of a sudden it's no, we actually didn't play well in this game. Blah 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 blah. So it doesn't really matter.
I'll just add this.
What you say.
I'll just add this because of course we're going to hear that at the podium this time of night. Fortunately, someone else went to the podium earlier in the day and said last 6 weeks have been up and down. Yeah, our rating's good, but it's kind of inflated by some blowout wins over that stretch. And, there's probably some reasons that we haven't been at our best the last month plus here. But they're hoping it will be good, when the time comes, when the time's necessary. So at least, somewhere in the organization, there's some acknowledgement that the last 6 weeks haven't been good here. And again, 4 games going into this were pretty solid. But it's too often we've heard this, John, this year that, some of the game was great, but it's just a couple minutes that did us in. And, this is fun and this is a great process and we're enjoying this. I mean, 10 losses later at home. I can't even count how many times we've gone on the air after games like this. Defense just wasn't there. They let up because the opponent's stars weren't in or whatever it is. And it's just like, I can't even get frustrated anymore by it, John, because it's so expected.
All right,
and
Bobby, jump into the locker room. Yeah. Go do your thing. Jump into the locker room.
Take a deep breath. Inhale,
tag
exhale.
out. Tag out. Go.
Into
Ready? 1,
the
2,
nose.
3. Go. Pow.
Out through the mouth. Yeah. Release all that negative energy.
Watch this.
Learning that.
I was trying to time it.
Boom.
But Bobby couldn't.
Now that's a trade.
Yes.
That is a trade deadline trade right there.
Yes. Yep. Yes. Hello, people.
I was trying to get it right, but Bobby couldn't friggin' connect it there, but that's fine.
You couldn't.
Bobby.
Okay.
So let me ask you this.
It's the journey.
Sherrod, I'll ask you this. It's much easier I don't know if you listen to any of Joe there. It's much easier from where we sit at home to say, why didn't you ask this? Why didn't you ask this? Why didn't you ask this? I'm going to go right out and say it. Why at no point does anybody ask a question that just says simply, because there's a lot of, when you guys aren't doing this, and you're thinking about that, do you maybe think if you tried that, it would be more like this? And it's just a lot of just in circle sort of stuff.
Yeah.
Try here because you don't want to go at Joe. But does anybody ever just say, Jason Tatum was bad tonight? Like, is something up with him or just a bad game? What did you think of his performance? He was turnovers, defense, what happened there? Like, I just out of curiosity, like, hey, your best players were bad. Why is that? And how important is it for your best players to not be bad? Because it's, as I always say, every time we do a blame pie, I don't care what the stats say. I almost always go right to the top with those two guys. It starts there and it trickles down. Later. Always, because they're the tone setters.
Of course.
And can you survive when they don't play great? Sometimes, and they got away with it a lot last year. But I'm always starting there. And when you see them out there, when Jaylen's just dribbling off his friggin' leg, and Tatum's not taking care of the ball either, and then they're not getting back on D, that's such a horrible tone for the entire game. Those are so hard to recover from. So, like, I always want to start there. Like, what's up with those dudes? Like, why are they in and out?
Yeah, and tonight they were just out. I mean, this might have been the worst game that they've played on the same night all season. They've had different variations of what I like to call levels of suctitude, but this was probably the level of suctitude that they were at their absolute highest levels of on the same night. And it's inexcusable. I mean, John, to your point, I mean, this was like basically the worst parts of their games amplified. Like Tatum just not being aggressive and assertive. Jaylen literally dribbling it off his foot and leading to transition baskets the other way. It was bad. And I didn't hear Joe's presser, but it's not surprising. Most of the questions that Joe gets are kind of almost treat him like he's a little kid and you got to give him this medicine, but let's just put it in like the mashed potatoes and let's put it in the applesauce so that, he can get the medicine, but doesn't really taste it. I didn't hear the questions, but I don't know how you could ask not ask about why those guys were bad.
Yeah, they also always give him the option to say, and Joe, if you don't want to eat this medicine, you could just fling the mashed potatoes against the wall, and I'll accept that too. Right? Because it doesn't really matter, and that's what he does. He takes it and he flings it against the wall, and he tells you something else is happening on. Like I don't like this. So, I mean, again, it doesn't matter what Joe says. It matters why it's happening. And that's what I can't understand is like, I mean, again, I go back to Joe's untrained eye comment from before, when he was like, oh, you guys, it's a low-hanging fruit.
That's the Bobby Manning trigger line right there.
And as I say, there's actually nothing easier to see than effort. You could be watching 5-year-olds play or 50-year-olds play at the Y or NBA players. You can tell when people are putting it all out there and when people are just pointing and like, you go get that guy and I'm just going to stand here. You can see effort. It's really easy. And you know how you could tell the difference? What Jordan Walsh did in the last 7-8 minutes of the game.
That was just effort.
I'm going to run out here. And yes, can you expect that from Tatum and Brown, who are carrying an offensive load and playing 40 minutes a night? No, it's not realistic. 8 for 82. No, but that's what effort looks like. And when you're just kind of, just letting people walk around and get into their spots and standing around and not fighting through screens and you can see it. You can see it.
Yeah.
It adds up. It was a layup line all night. There was zero perimeter defense. They got wherever they wanted to go.
Yeah, and when they actually showed some semblance of defense, because Dallas was in such a great rhythm, it didn't matter. When they were defended, they were knocking down, and they made some tough shots. But the reason why they made so many of those tough shots was because they were in a great rhythm that you allowed them to get into. That's literally what happens all the time when you look at teams that are really good and they have these inexplicable, horrific games. Typically, that's what it comes down to, that they didn't play with great effort. They allowed the other team to get comfortable, and they never made any type of mental adjustment. Forget about X's and O's. Actually adjust from a mentality standpoint. I mean, if they're getting layups one after the other, here's a thought: hard foul. Or better, no, forget that. How about a foul? To just actually throw the rhythm off a little bit. There was none of that at all. At all.
Muted.
John, you're muted.
Sorry. So that's what I don't fully get here. And we'll get into it a little bit because there's some news, with the Celtics, trade deadline passed. And I know we have, one ad, which is Torrey Craig, is it?
Craig.
Just kidding. I know I'm kidding.
Okay.
Don't mess with me.
Sorry. I was going to say, wait a minute, John. Hold on.
I'll say that probably.
No, I'm just kidding. They signed Torrey Craig, who's a wing. Brad Stevens said prior to the game, he hasn't played in a while. He's only played 9 games this season. He's been around for a bit. He can shoot it a bit. Yeah. This is insurance. This isn't going to make much of a difference. You did lose Jaden Springer for money, and that's fine. And you're not really playing Walsh, and you're not playing some other guys who could kind of provide that energy. So this is what I don't fully understand is if what you're lacking, you guys lack polish, lack the ability to score, lack the ability to become full-time rotation players because they're not complete basketball players, they're not going to crack this rotation. But if your problem continues to be perimeter defense, ball pressure, energy, why aren't you using energy guys a little bit more often to infuse some life into dead ass teams rather than let them play dead ass for 2.5, sometimes 3 quarters? I find that perplexing. I'm not a Jordan Walsh guy, and I was never a Jaden Springer guy, but holy crap, I'm totally on board with their energy. And it's really weird to watch the same guys play flat and then just keep putting them out there and just expect different results. For quarters at a time, games at a time. It's weird.
I have to believe that we're going to see a little bit more consistency in terms of minutes from Jordan Walsh because I don't know how you could not recognize that they're from an energy, high impact, getting the guys involved and engaged and energized standpoint. They really don't have anyone. I mean, the closest guy that is a regular is probably Derek White. But again, Derek, he usually has a good 3 or 4 minute stretch, and then they just kind of go away from him. And he doesn't necessarily have that same assertiveness. They need someone who's a non-core guy to be that energy guy. It's pretty clear and obvious that is something. And I don't give a damn how trained or untrained your eye is. It's clear that when you have a guy like that, you can do things like you did in the fourth quarter. When you don't play guys like that, you get your asses down by 27 points to a team that is significantly shorthanded, and they're doing it in your building.
Yeah. Pritchard used to be the energy guy, but he's got a bigger role now. It's
he's got a bigger role?
Yeah, right. Exactly. He's got a bigger role. Cornette. John, you're muted again.
Pritchard's told to be Sparky.
Exactly. Yeah, he's too important now. There needs to be a handing of the spark.
Sparky got a promotion, guys. Sparky got a promotion.
Exactly. But the problem is, Sherrod, Pritchard was good enough to be Sparky, but also like contribute. These bench guys, go ahead and put them in for energy. Energy's not gonna like win you the game. I mean, I know what you're saying. You need to have guys that are gonna, I guess. In a way, it spreads to the next guy. Hopefully, they can kind of change the dynamic, change like the direction the team's going in. But Jordan Walsh can go in there for a couple of like spurts, and the same with any of those other guys in the Stay Ready crew. I'm not talking about Pritchard. I'm not talking about Cornette. I'm not talking about Hauser. Those guys are a part of the rotation. After that, though, and Horford, after that, there isn't a guy that, is dependable. Maybe it is going to be Craig, but Craig's he's a role, a role bench type player too. The new guy, comes in and can do, hit a couple shots and, be the wing that they need. But again, no one's coming to save these guys. We've been saying it all year. We saw a lot of teams make moves today. A lot of contenders made themselves a little bit better in different, in variations. Celtics didn't at the end of the day. And it's not like they have anyone coming back from an injury soon. Like last year, it was like, oh, Porzingis will be back. This is the team. And these guys need to figure it out before, I guess, the playoffs come. I mean, the good news is there's plenty of time. The bad news is I have no reason to believe that anything's going to change. And that's what is a little bit worrisome at this point, John.
That's the concern, Jimmy. And I do have breaking news. The fire alarm is going off in the press room. Let's see if we can hear it.
Oh, I like that.
No, we can't hear it. But that's the word. That's the word I've gotten.
Huh. Is that a ploy to get the player? Now watch. None of the players will have to talk.
Now Tatum's going to come out an hour and a half after.
Jaylen Brown pulled the fire.
That is not what we meant by lighting a fire under this team. That is not what we meant.
Can you hear it?
Let's go.
I can't hear it.
That's not the press room though, so it might be in a different. That's a different room.
Joe pulled the fire alarm. That's it. This is what I'm worried about, Fuzzy, that you guys are going to disappear until the second round.
No, they won't, because the frustration is what brings people back, actually.
Yeah, but I mean, like I said, I'm tired of this. I don't want to do this show. Like, you know, I want them to run off 8 or 9 in a row. So be like, all right, here we go.
We're going to need therapy, John. That's what we're here for.
I honestly thought that Cleveland was like going to be some kind of a turning point. It was like their 4th straight win. It was a different type of a win than, you know, the ones that they had to eke out against, you know, non-playoff teams. They, you know, against a contender on the road, you know, and they didn't do it like by shooting lights out. Like they actually had to trap. There it is. There it is.
Uh-oh.
That's a fire alarm.
That's to get out of the
There's
building.
There's an urgency with the Celtics. Get out.
This is the panic. Somebody hit the panic button.
Somebody hit the panic button.
Who hit the panic button?
This is
you don't hit it.
Wasn't me. It wasn't me this time.
Damn.
Get out. Everyone abandon ship. Get out. Oh,
this is like the like everything is fine meme where the place is burning down and the guy's sitting there. We just need a player to sit there right now and talk about the team.
It's perfect. We should do the whole show with this bit with the siren beeping in the background.
They hit the panic button.
Alert.
Oh my god.
Oh my god, so good. Anyway, that's what's going on at TD Garden right now. We're gonna talk a little more. We'll get your
part of the journey.
Yeah. Well, we've got some people in the locker room. We're gonna hear from Pritchard and Porzingis coming up in just a little bit. But first off, we've got to tell you about stuff. And you know what's going on. The big game. It's all about the big game.
The big game. What game? The big game.
Big game. The big game. Prize Picks, best place to get real money. Sports action, 10 million members, billions of dollars in awarded prize picks, awarded winnings, rather. Prize Picks made daily fantasy accessible. Pick more or less on at least 2 players. Shot to win up to 1,000 times your cash. Check it out. And as we said, we do know what's going on. It is the big game. You can go in, make your picks in 60 seconds or less. And if you are a new user and you sign up today, you download that app, use the code CLNS, get 50 instantly. You play your first $5 lineup. And free stuff like free squares.
Yeah.
And that's like what you got.
Big game.
Patrick Mahomes,
squares.
You go more on Patrick Mahomes in the big game.
Yeah, don't go less.
More 0.5 pass yards. That's a freebie, and it makes it that much easier to cash in here with Prize Picks. So once again, download that app, promo code CLNS for new users. Play $5, get 50 instantly in your account. You don't have to win or lose. Sign up today, code CLNS for new users, and bang, get your bonus and get your free square and get going for the big game. Back to it, guys.
Big game.
I like the Eagles. I like them. I know the Chiefs are inevitable, but I do think I think they're going to give them trouble in the trenches at the line of scrimmage a little bit, kind of like Tampa did.
I'm hammering. Fly Eagles fly, man. I'm done with Mahomes. I'm done with the Chiefs. I think the Eagles are a more complete team. The Chiefs weren't even that good this year. I can't believe they're in the Super Bowl. Honestly, I really can't. And I know that they won a ton of games, but I felt like, I mean, how many games did they just barely get by?
That's
the Chiefs weren't good in the same way the Patriots weren't good so many years that they won. And everybody would pull their hair out. Look what happened to Sherrod as an Eagles fan. Pulled all his hair out watching the Patriots.
Eagles
had an afro yay big.
The Eagles got us. I won't forgive Bill for that Super Bowl. The one that the one where you guys got us like in 2017 or something?
Every time Malcolm Butler talks, it just gets weirder and weirder.
It does. What the hell was going on yesterday?
Oh my God. He didn't seem right.
I honestly don't know I don't know what to believe anymore. I really don't know what to believe.
Here's the thing. When you don't know what to believe all of it. That's kind of what I say, because
there's some truth in what everyone is saying.
It's likely all of it. And yeah. So all that
Brady
stuff.
threw for 750 yards and lost that game.
If Butler doesn't want to talk about it, it's not because he's being a good soldier. It's because it's as embarrassing for him as it is for them. So yes, I believe all of it. All of the stuff out there. That's my take. That's my take.
Yeah. But Butler's still hanging around and like doing the Patriots thing. Like,
I don't know.
I don't get it, man. I really don't.
It was a great story. Two of my favorite words in all of sports are Malcolm, go.
I agree.
So good.
That was unreal.
So good. Anyway, back to this game.
Eagles too. More complete.
I guess I'll ask it here. Is, you know, it's always that, I mean, you have to look at the bigger picture. The Celtics had sorta played better, you know, and we see all of these letdowns kind of coming off of overall like decent bodies of work, right? They just won 4 straight, you know, that you felt better about, including a win over Cleveland, the comeback against Philadelphia, which was actually a crap game, a shit game against the Pelicans. I don't care. What happened?
I remember back when the Chiefs.
Is that you?
Is that you, Jimmy?
Could you hear me?
Yeah.
I thought I had it on mute. Wait, I might have the wrong microphone on right now. I did have
Scrubs
it on.
are everything else is going on in the hallway.
Damn, my microphone's about to get so much better.
Can you hear me better now?
Yes.
Yeah, I had the wrong microphone on. So when I hit mute, I was watching a clip on Twitter, a sports clip. It didn't mute.
But anyway, 4 straight wins, and then they lose this one. You had that 3-1 road trip, but the really shitty game against Los Angeles, including a shitty win against the Clippers as well. You had that 3-1 road trip where you went through Minnesota, Houston, you know, Denver, but you also got trucked by Oklahoma City, and they really, they stole your lunch money in the second half there. So there's always the loss feels a lot worse than any of the wins that surround it. And that's what's weird about this team. You're still looking at a team with a 36-16 record. This is still a team that entering tonight was only 3 games off of last year's pace. And point differential was close-ish. You know, we know they've been struggling for 6 weeks or so, and it's really been up and down. But what do you feel? What's more emblematic of this team, or what makes you think this is their true selves here? A loss like this, or like a win versus Cleveland, or the ones that preceded it? Because this is where I'm stuck. Because now it's like everyone can say, "Dude, scoreboard, second best team."
Okay, well, like they're not as bad as they were tonight. So I don't think they're more like tonight's team. But I do think that they can contend with any team in the league. So I do feel like they are closer to the Cleveland team. The concern is that they can't show up like that consistently.
And they did not play great. I agree with Joe, by the way, but yeah.
Yeah, again, they didn't play great. I mean, they shot horribly to start that game, but it was the way that they figured out a way to win. That's what we were kind of hammering it on, is that on the night where they didn't have it, where we would say, oh, well, of course they won. They shot 50% from 3. But no, it was a different type of win. So you kind of felt good about them being able to pull it out on the road and play with, defensively. I thought they did some good things against Cleveland. But again, it doesn't carry over. It's not carrying over.
A better way to phrase the question, Jimmy, are they closer to the 24 or the 23 team? That's kind of.
Yeah, closer to the 23 team.
23. Yeah. I would say 23.
23 team. And right now they're lacking that. They don't have that killer mentality. Like last year, it felt like they wanted to punish teams. It felt like they wanted to prove everybody wrong. And guess what? They did prove everybody wrong. So where do you dig deep now? Where do you find that? Where do you find that extra gear and want to continue to punish teams and continue to prove the doubters wrong and want to repeat? It's so hard to do those things. That's why it doesn't happen that often. And I feel like they haven't tapped into that yet.
Well, I don't know if they will. Yeah, it seems as though they haven't been able to, frankly, figure shit out on the fly like they did a year ago. There were games where it would be basically like a 3, 4, 5 point game, and then you blink your eyes and they're up by 18. And some of that is just knocking down shots, but a lot of it was just making plays defensively, making hustle plays that leads to easy baskets at the other end of the floor, doing all those little things that allow them to take a tightly contested game and make it a runaway win for them. And they don't seem to have been able to figure that out. And part of it is their opponents for sure. But a lot of the problems are self-inflicted ones. Like tonight, a lot of a big part of why they got down so big wasn't because of anything Dallas was doing special. It was that they were literally giving the ball away. kicking the ball out of bounds, turning it over, not being in position to get rebounds.
They're just half step behind.
Yeah, and it was like this all game up until
the bench got rolled.
Right.
The bench the bench that's been giving them a boost got rolled, and that was bad. They couldn't recover from that either. But bad all around. The bench numbers will end up looking a little bit better at the end of the day, but they weren't good.
They don't look better because of that fourth quarter, but yeah,
exactly.
They had blown it for him before then.
But I mean, the more I watch this team, the more concerned about how they'll be if any key player is not ready to roll from day one. Like no Drew Holiday tonight, and would Drew have been the difference in this game? Probably not, but it would have been a much closer game if Drew Holiday played. To me, there's no doubt about that.
So I'm looking at this comment. This has always been an issue of mine with the Celtics. Even at full health, they're not the most athletic team. They're not like their best players are not explosively athletic outside of Jaylen Brown.
Right.
They are crafty and capable and versatile, and they can do a lot of things. And they're long, but they're not like explosive athletes. And every time you go double, and with Holiday being out, and I know Holiday's showing his age a teeny bit, but you're losing something there too on the perimeter for sure, even though he's not 100% of what he was last year. But when you're going double big, you're making yourself even older and slower here. And this is a problem, is you have to decide what's more important to you. And I'm finding this insistence and just stubbornly leaning on double big to be a weird thing that Joe can't get off of right now. I know they're down a guard and they don't really have anybody else now. You really only had two guards. So I get why you're starting Horford, I guess, but he stayed with it all game long, and Cornette got eaten alive tonight. It was a really rough game for him, really rough game.
Yeah.
No, I'm not going to ignore it. I'm going right into it here. It was really rough there.
And that was without AD.
So I don't understand why at that point you don't try to get a little bit more athletic. And then really at that point, you've only got Walsh you could throw in there for some energy and see what it gives you.
Yeah. And he did a decent job with that. I mean, he did. But, it was one of those too little, too late type situations. And, it goes back to just Joe really showing the ability to read the room. Like, put the guys in there that can give you what you need. They were lacking energy all game long. And yet, until it was pretty much the game was over and out of reach, then you go with the guy that has energy.
Yeah.
Right.
I don't know.
This is a good question, Cass. What's funny is while I'm not like angry, I just rage because it's fun. Not really fun, but it's like it's frustrating. And it's frustrating because you know they could and should. It's almost insulting. It's almost insulting to fans who like, fine, if you guys want to believe, they'll just flip the switch. If this is what you want to watch a team care and not care, like, and not value your time, and money, and and all the things that you put into it, and that's good enough for you, fine. Then you could just check out and tune into the playoffs. And if they do everything great, you can say, fine. If you enjoy watching these ups and downs or watching a team go out there and look like they don't really want to play, I don't find that enjoyable. I want them to play as much as I want to watch the game. I'm excited to watch. I want them to be excited to play. It's not asking a lot, so it's frustrating. But I still believe that it's there. I still believe that they have it. But what creeps into me is something wrong we're missing. And I don't want to plant like conspiracy theories there, but that's what bugs me when we talk about things like body language and this and that. Like that like loser stank stays on you, and then you start to like feel things. Like if you're going out there and you're like, well, why should I try? He's not trying, or like, Jesus. So our star chose not to play tonight. That's cool, I guess. Am I supposed to try hard tonight, or I didn't get the memo? Should we all be checking out? That stuff can be oddly, infectious and like can cause some issues. I don't know if they're feeling that behind the scenes. They might all kind of have a pact. Like, yeah, we'll turn it on in April.
Maybe.
We're good.
I mean, maybe, but how often?
But I don't know. But that's what worries me, that there's something we're missing, and they're not like connected right now in the same way.
Well, the other way to answer that question by Kess is based on what we've seen. When the season ends, if the Celtics are eliminated from the playoffs before the NBA Finals, would you say that we didn't see the signs of this happening or that we did see the signs of this happening? Because right now, I feel like all the signs are there for that happening. I would actually be more surprised if they do go to the NBA Finals or if they do win a championship based on the fact, what the hell's going on? You're muted.
Got all glitchy. I don't know what happened there.
I would be more surprised at this point, based on what I've seen so far, 36-16. I know that their record overall is great, but if we go back to December, it's completely different numbers that we're looking at here. And based on what I'm seeing right now, I would be more surprised because if they do get eliminated, and it's kind of been just kind of like this leading up to whenever they get eliminated, we're going to say, of course they did. Look at all the signs this year that we saw when we go back to the Mavericks game or go back to keep going back to all these examples of when they just didn't show up or they didn't execute or they didn't, finish the job down the stretch. And we can point to a lot of them. Last year, John, and this was your big thing, you had nothing to really be upset about or concerned about or angered about. You had to manufacture it because they went on like a 2-game. If they ever lost like 2 games in 3 out of 3, you'd have to like fake some sort of concern. You don't have to fake it right now. I think everyone is kind of like in the same boat where we're like, okay, we've seen enough of this where you can't just brush it off and just say, oh, like they probably have like this little like unsaid agreement that they'll just be good in the playoffs. Like it doesn't work that way.
Yeah, like I said, I'm not entirely sure. And I don't know
what we're seeing. No one's sure, but if you're going by what you're watching, you really have no reason to believe that they're an NBA Finals team.
Yeah.
Other than the fact that they have the same players returning from a championship team, and theoretically they should, but based on what we're actually seeing and not what we're envisioning or thinking or what we want to believe.
And this is a good question. Seeing. How many people do you see this from? And again, the thing is, when you watch a team every night, you scrutinize them in a totally different way. But like when you think of the all-time greats, are you thinking like, remember all those years where they didn't try for the whole year and then turned it on late? That was awesome. But like, I know it exists. Like the Celtics, everyone romanticizes back in the day, but the Celtics were like, I mean, the 80s Celtics were a bunch of drunks. Their big let's get serious thing in 86 was let's stop drinking beer for a couple of months and see if we can get serious, and that was like, okay, I guess that sounds crazy, but we'll do it, but like, Larry's going out and punching people in the face and drinking 26 Budweisers a night. But like, I guess
Larry Bird, man,
it was a different time back then.
He's the greatest of all time.
I mean, he'd get so bored he'd play a game lefty. So like, I get it. Sure. It's human nature.
But the opponents, like everyone's better now. So it's like, you can't do that.
Yeah.
You got to show up. You got to, again, this team on paper is, arguably the most talented team in the NBA. Want to say Thunder, maybe Cleveland got better today.
Teams do it. Yeah.
There's teams to make a case here, but the Celtics, as they say, Sherrod, you don't play on paper. You got to show up when the ball gets tipped. You got to play for 48, man. These guys, nothing's going to be given to them.
I hope Gelso's not watching. Don't let him see this comment. Delete this, Justin.
Don't post it. Take it down.
Take it away. Take it away.
Like,
it's amazing Bob Cousy was able to have such a good career without the use of his left hand. Really incredible. That Cousy was just able to dribble all around with his right hand. Way through. Really impressive stuff. Dribble in circles.
Yeah.
Really remarkable career. Yeah. Anyway, we're going to hear from more Celtics. We'll also get Noah on the show momentarily. But first off, we want to give you a little shout out to our sponsor over at Game Time.
This episode is also powered by Game Time, the
the best place to get tickets to the games, events, and concerts you want to see. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Game Time is filled with terrific features like all-in pricing, so you know exactly how much you're paying. No surprise fees at checkout. You also get panoramic views from your seats in the app, so you know exactly what you'll be looking at before you buy. Plus, a lowest price guarantee, or Game Time will credit you 110% of the difference. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code CLNS for $20 off your first purchase. Terms do apply. Once again, download that Game Time app, create an account, use code CLNS for $20 off your first purchase. Terms do apply. What time is it? It's game time.
And if you want to check out the Celtics the next time they are in town, Spurs, baby, Wemby. That is as close to must see. You know how, Jimmy, didn't you go to see Ohtani? You thought that was must see?
Yeah, I did.
Right. Like Ohtani's must see.
And pitched.
Ohtani's must see. I shelled out big bucks to see Messi when they played. When they played there, Jimmy was at that game too. We got our money's worth when the Revs played Messi.
Yeah.
And Miami.
Was unreal. We saw him score twice. That was so
saw him
sick.
score twice. That was worth it. Jimmy and I took in some of that together. That was a lot of fun. And Wemby is worth the price of admission, man. So go check it out.
Dude,
if you want to.
There are like 3 or 4 or 5 guys in the NBA where you just got to see. And Wemby is a new one, adding him to that list. Curry was one. I think he probably still is. Yeah. I used to say Embiid was.
LeBron was
one. LeBron was one. And I loved watching
Embiid. Oh, yeah.
LeBron is a show for sure. I mean, there's only a handful, but Wemby, I mean, the good news is, knock on wood, I mean, he's going to be doing this for a long, long time. But like, yeah, he only comes to Boston once a year. So if you can get in,
check it out. Check out the seats here at Game Time. Prices go down as you get closer to it. And right now, it's a tough ticket, man.
Well, they're up there, man. I guess we're not the only people thinking.
There's still some good seats, so check it out. Game Time, terrific app for this sort of thing. If you want to check it out, all-in pricing, panoramic views from your seat. Download that app.
8,700 courtside. Look at that.
CLNS, $20 off your first purchase. Terms to apply. Back to it. Back to it. Let's get
Noah's not going to watch. Noah won't come on tonight because she knows that
blame pie.
Blame pie. So she's not going to come.
Oh my God. So much blame pie.
I mean, I got 4 pies baking in.
Bobby's not coming on either because this is the first time Cornette's getting like 50% of a pie. He's going to give it all. He's going to give it to Joe. Yeah.
Yep, he will.
We should make him go first and see if he gives anything to Luke.
Just make some reference to just, the trained eye reference to trigger Bobby.
Yeah.
he gets so fired up.
Are the alarms still going off, John? Do we know?
They moved them out of there, so we're not in that room anymore. They moved them into the hallway.
I wonder if any of these players have even spoken yet. Anything going on Twitter? I'm about to look right now.
I don't know. Nobody tells me anything.
Oh,
I'm just the lead singer.
Speak of the devil.
That is Noah.
You guys ready for blame pie?
Get the pies ready, Jimmy.
Get the pies out of the oven.
We don't have any pies, do we?
The pies are in the oven. They're hot, coming out fresh.
All right, let's. Favorite segment of the show. What's going on?
Yes.
Are we going right into a blame pie? Workplace harassment.
We just sliced up the pies. Here we go.
Oh yes, we were waiting for you, Noah.
We
Perfect
did.
Timing.
All right, we'll do it. All right, Bobby, slice up your pie, buddy.
All right, here we go.
It's better than everyone getting an intro. What?
Did he just disappear?
He just took himself.
You can't do that.
You can't. You're sitting down at the table, my friend. It's time to eat some pie.
Damn it, you're going to eat this blame pie, young man.
He's just blinking away right now. He doesn't know.
He doesn't even know.
All right, Noah. Whether something you gleaned from listening to them talk in the post-game press conferences or just your observations from the game, what's your overall top takeaway here?
This was a bad one. It's a bad game.
As bad as your audio.
No, audio bad.
Audio's in and out a little bit.
Yeah. You're such an ass. Jimmy
What a
is such
dink.
an ass.
What? Like, okay.
Not as bad as she wrote you.
Jerk.
All right. Sorry.
Better?
Oh, that's
Perfect.
better. There you
That's
go.
perfect. Go ahead.
Absolutely.
One day I'll learn on the first try. There is a lot of movement and chaos around here, but luckily no more alarm, which is nice. But honestly, I could barely hear a word of postgame because there was like 100 of us crowded around Jaylen with the siren blaring. So Bobby had a better position than me if he wants to share his takeaway from Jaylen. But just from the game itself, like defensive energy wasn't there. They missed a ridiculous amount of easy shots around the rim, layups. I don't know that I've ever seen them miss so many layups in concerted, in a limited period of time, and totally impacted their effort. And honestly, like that fourth quarter run was fun to watch, but it was also kind of like, damn, this is what it looks like when you're trying your best. And I don't feel like they gave a good effort today. And I honestly can't figure out what's so difficult about coming back from a road trip, because it's a thing. It's a thing we've seen now a million times. It doesn't make sense to me. So much of the psychological stuff. What did you say?
I can't believe how many times we heard that tonight.
Well, not just tonight. This is every time. This is the last 3 road trips they've come back and they've lost.
No,
so I just
actually
don't understand.
said that.
Yeah. I mean, they keep saying it all the time. All the psychological stuff, I'm the first person to buy in. This one I don't get. I just don't understand why coming home is like so hard. I don't know. If anybody has thoughts.
Well, they stink at home. That might be part of it.
No, it's another built-in excuse that isn't based on anything real. You know what I mean? Is like there's nothing to these are just there's no reason why, as you said, no logical reason why you'd be worse coming home. That's a good thing. Coming home is good. Off of a road trip. The last game of a long road trip makes sense. You're gassed and you can't wait to get home. Coming home and losing is stupid. It doesn't make sense. The other team trying hard is a silly excuse. There's a lot of ones that are kind of baked in right now. I'm going to add this one. I've got a little thing going on here, but no, it doesn't make a lot of sense here. But I asked these guys earlier. I'll ask each of you. Do you feel which feeling is greater? The yuckiness you feel after this, or the good vibes off of Cleveland?
Don't all jump at once here.
I was gonna say,
honestly, I didn't overreact to the Cleveland game. I didn't think it was like spectacular or anything.
It wasn't.
So I think the 3-game road trip, like the road trip itself as a whole, coming away with 3 wins, probably I feel a little greater than just this one loss. But 1 for 1, this one's gonna count more. But I see someone here asked me Saturday. I tend to agree with that. I think if they can come back and have a good showing against New York, like that's kind of a. That would kind of neutralize things. Yeah, they probably will.
We know they're
down the
gonna,
road.
because it's been the story of their season too. And then the next game against Miami, half of Miami's team will probably be out. They'll probably be let down there. So that's why it's so tough to glean in either direction. Who are they? Because it's been so sporadic for so long now. And again, they got an extended stretch going there during the road trip. But first game, New Orleans is missing a bunch of guys. Second game, you're down 26. And you do come back and you get credit for that, but similar issues to start that game. And then the Cleveland one was good, but this is how you answer that. It's tough. It's tough to ride that roller coaster. Brad even said it earlier, right, Noah? That fans just like them sometimes riding the highs and lows of the season, and there's been a lot of them over the last 6-7 weeks here.
Yeah, I love that Brad presser. He even said under his breath kind of that their numbers have been I think the exact line was buoyed by a few blowout wins. And I was like, damn, okay, Brad. But yeah, I definitely think that it's been an inconsistent up and down thing. And the home stuff they have to figure out, because that's very 2023. And obviously that came back to bite them in the playoffs when they weren't closing things out at home. In the same vein, it's great that they've been great on the road. Like that's also important. But it's just a little bit inexplicable. I don't know if it's an urgency thing or a routine thing or something else. But
John, we get some sound queued up. You gotta play it.
Muted. John and the mute button are at war tonight.
I'm just doing it so I can let it flow, not jump in there. Have everyone have their piece. I also might be chewing on things and drinking stuff and
I'm
making
cool
a lot
with you
of noise
going
in the
on
background.
mute. You just.
I forget sometimes. Senior moments. Anyway, just to warn everybody, there's an alarm going off in the
Trigger
background
warning.
here, the siren. So if I don't want you to freak out. But here's Jaylen Brown saying something that Bobby finds interesting.
Strong, through the break, but defensively, we
I
haven't
goddamn
been
love the
as
siren.
strong as we need to be. A part of that is on me as our captain, but we just got to be better to close the break and then reassess to start the second half of the season.
Jaylen, your reaction to the Celtics signing Torrey Craig and what you think he can add to the team?
This is news to me. We signed Torrey Craig.
Correct.
This is my first time hearing about it. Obviously, the front office is always trying to make some moves to make sure that we are putting ourselves in good position. So, I trust that.
Translation: I don't know that dude.
Can we go? Did he call himself the captain?
He is the
yes,
captain.
He did.
But he is. He's actually the captain. Yeah, he does the. Really? Yeah, he does the ref thing. He does the shaking hands before the game. He does like a couple things, ceremonial things that he does. That he actually is the listed captain.
That's news to me. That's more news to me than Torrey Craig to Jaylen.
I don't know if it's listed on the roster. Let me check the roster.
That's legit breaking news.
Really? I
Yeah.
don't know.
There's never been a quote unquote captain, really.
I just noticed since I started covering the team. I mean, definitely this year. I actually don't remember last year, but this year I noticed he always does the handshake with the ref before the games. He's mentioned it a couple of times when he's complained about calls. He's like, it's my job to turn to the refs. Like that's
all right,
part
John,
of my
they
responsibility.
got a captain.
I don't think he's actually the captain. I think he might assume those responsibilities, but I don't think it's an actual. I don't think it's an actual designation.
I think he's speaking in a figurative sense, that he has the responsibilities of a captain, and in his mind that works. Because I would have thought they would have made a bigger deal about this if that was in fact.
I think it's a low key thing. I don't think it's like they wanted to make it his big thing that Jaylen's the captain.
Well, I'm gonna make it into a huge thing now. I want to know for a fact if he's the captain. So I want someone to ask next time. Wait,
No,
Jaylen, are you actually the captain?
Yeah, I mean, he did say he was the captain, so somebody should ask for some clarification.
Yeah, this is completely breaking news to me.
Really?
Yeah.
Have you noticed that?
I mean,
he's the only guy that does that stuff?
No, but we lived through the captain saga a couple years ago. The captain,
when they're like, we don't need a captain. Now
Captains
he's like,
are for losers. We don't need one.
That was when Marcus Smart was still on the team, though.
Yeah.
Oh my God,
anyway,
Marcus Smart.
I wasn't in there, but real
boy.
quick, I did
Washington
find the
Wizard.
other part interesting in there. I found the other part of that interesting too. That let's just get to the break. I asked him why he thinks that, and he said, "I think it's good for our guys. It's been a long journey, even from last year. To get a little bit of a mental reset would be good for us. We got to finish strong, run through the finish line tonight. First game off a tough road trip, and our energy wasn't there. The Mavs jumped on us to start the game. Nobody's making any excuses. It wasn't as good as we need to be tonight defensively. We played a little slow tonight, but we got to keep pushing to the break." So again, the road trip thing, everyone was talking about it. I don't really get it.
I'm glad he's the captain. I'm going to hold him to a different standard now. I'm not tripping over this. I'm completely caught off guard by it.
I was just like, what? Did I hear that right?
Yeah.
Oh, someone here says that he's actually listed as the captain. Where is that? Can you talk
I
about
I just looked somewhere where he's not listed, but again, I don't know.
Wait, drop a link, whoever. Yeah.
They used to.
Didn't they used to put it on the jersey too? They used to put it on the jersey.
They don't do that. They don't do the decal.
No.
They used
to
say
talking
in the
about
intros,
All-Stars,
though.
Porzingis said the same thing. Porzingis said the same thing in where were we just now? Cleveland. He said, it's just kind of it's great that we won 4 in a row. We're just trying to get to the All-Star break. Like it's definitely been a big theme here.
Yeah, but what is that? This is another imaginary thing that doesn't actually do anything. It's just arbitrary, right? Like, let's get to March 4. Like the All-Star break. Like, I know there's a natural reset where, like, there's some time off, but, like, do you think you're just going to be dipped into magic waters and just come back and all of your problems are going to go away? Like, it isn't anything other than, well, I hope we come back from that rested and feeling better, and that's where we'll really turn it on. And maybe that's their unofficial start to the season. Even Joe alluded to it, where, like, that's where we're going to kind of turn things on. But, like, that's last year when they went into cruise control. That's the weird thing. Like, post All-Star break, we're like, so nothing matters for 2 months, but I guess we'll just keep watching. Now it's like, well, this is where we're going to get serious.
You could start Saturday.
Yeah, or today, yesterday.
Or you could have started
Doesn't
today.
matter.
Right.
Yeah, I really don't even know what to say about this game. Like it
was so predictable.
Very.
Yeah.
Noah, you tell us what happened. You tell us why.
What do you mean? Why they played bad?
Yeah.
I think they let their bad offense lead to bad defense, and they've been doing it a lot this year. And ultimately, like, they are going to have to push through that, and that's why I liked the Cleveland game, because they did that in the Cleveland game, and they haven't done that consistently this year. They've won when their offense has been good, and they've lost when it hasn't been. And to win a championship, I think you need to be able to push through those games better. And tonight was some poor execution, but also just terrible finishing.
But
I don't even want to. What was that?
Like, it wasn't terrible, the offense. Like, the starters all shot the ball well. Take away a few turnovers from Brown and Tatum, and a couple of missed
7
layups.
turnovers in the first quarter.
I know, but they shot the ball okay. So it wasn't one of these like, oh, yuck. Yeah, they missed a couple in close, but like statistically, offensively, it wasn't horrible, like a shooting performance. It wasn't one of those games where they're shooting 20% from three and getting really down on themselves. It wasn't that game. So the offense sucked and it made our defense bad. I don't think holds in this one. And I know that's what Joe said. I disagree. I think their defense was bad from moment one. Before anything happened, they were just letting people get to the rim and into the paint unabated the whole game. So I don't think it was that game. I don't think that's what happened. Not in this one.
I mean, I don't want to.
We've seen it
again,
a ton.
I don't want to like make it about individual guys, but like Tatum, for example, I do think that we all know he's capable of being a great defender when at his best. And I think a game like tonight where he was frustrated, he missed his first, I don't know how many shots, but he missed a bunch of layups and was just really and nothing was working for him. I think right away it impacts his defensive effort. So, like, I'm not making that as an excuse. You have to be able to play through missed layups. Yeah. Like, you're a superstar. You're described as a two-way superstar. Like, I'm not saying it's excusable because he missed his layups that he can play bad defense, but it happened right away that he missed his first few shots, and right away you could feel the impact. And I do think Jaylen said himself, like, he's the captain. Those two guys, when they're not playing their best defense, which it happens often, and it feels like it's happened at home more, it totally impacts the entire unit's abilities, especially when Drew Holiday, when he was unavailable tonight. It's like that. Yeah, that's a big part. Like, it's not just their fault when the defense is bad, but I do think that when Tatum and Brown are locked in defensively, this team is really completely different on that end, because they have the personnel. They have the personnel with White and Holiday and Porzingis and whatever. So I don't want to put it just on those two guys, but it does end up being a big part of it.
It's on Tatum and the captain. Absolutely.
Yeah, I wonder.
Here we go.
I wonder what he thinks about the captain designation.
Well, if only we had somebody there to find out.
Does nobody else notice that he does all the captain stuff and Tatum doesn't?
Yeah, but I just thought
it could just be a thing.
Someone had
like,
to.
Who cares?
Like, someone's got to.
Yeah. I mean, somebody was doing that 2 years ago when they didn't have a captain either. So it's like,
that's the point. Yeah. Someone always does
Bobby's
it.
on it. Bobby's on.
From now on, what I want is from now on, every time you talk to anybody about Jaylen, just refer to him as the captain. Like I was talking to the captain earlier, and he said, and just see how they respond to it, especially Tatum. I want you to do it with Tatum.
Yeah, do it with Tatum for sure. Bobby.
Someone's in the chat saying this overblown captain story. There was no captain story. Yeah, I just found out about it.
Yeah, this is the story. What we're doing right now is
the story. The story is that
this current situation of John saying that we have to refer to Jaylen as the captain of Tatum next time we interview him.
Every time you talk about him. That's all I'm calling him from now on, the captain. That's great. I love it.
You know what? And if he wants to embrace that, more power to him.
Yes, let's talk about Torrey Craig. Always
love it.
Look on
Silver lining.
Yeah.
Silver lining to tonight.
I can't believe Jaylen didn't know until postgame.
I'm not surprised about that.
Nothing was better than the Miami Heat being told about the Butler trade.
That was awesome.
Yeah, but this was hours ago.
You got 3 guys looking around like this. That was great.
They were like, what?
I couldn't believe that.
Was what was even funnier was him not having a clue who it was. He's like, yeah, that's cool.
Yeah, it's almost like he couldn't remember who Torrey Craig was.
Yeah.
If it was a
He's like,
different
"We
kind of
signed
game,
Torrey
that would have
Craig?"
been a great time to ask a post-scrum question of like, do you know who that is? Because it really seemed he had a blank look.
Yeah.
Bobby's high on
it,
Torrey Craig.
Yeah, I wouldn't expect it to change things drastically. Of course, the buyout market never does. But I like the player. I like the player in the past. I think he's going to fit in to the room, and I think he can shoot and play on the wing with some size. And it's exactly what they needed here. Now, is it the best version of the player that they needed at that spot? No. I mean, that's why he was available for nothing here. The biggest concern, obviously, is he's played 9 games this year and hasn't played since December 30th. So I don't know if he's even available right now. But you needed some amount of Hauser insurance here. And this isn't that, but it's something.
He will play fewer minutes than Jordan Walsh the rest of the way.
Careful, John. You're not.
I'm saying
Jordan
not saying
Walsh
that as a
lockdown
knock.
defense in the fourth quarter.
We were clamoring for more of it earlier. That's what we said. I was clamoring.
Me
Ask
too.
the chat. I clamored.
I believe you.
I did. Because that's what defense looks like. That's the difference. What Jordan
Sherrod,
Walsh was playing was defense.
Are you a Craig guy, Sherrod?
No. He's an insurance policy. Cool. He's just someone. He's a warm body at the end of the bench that you can throw out there when you have no choice but to throw someone out there.
He's your fifth wing.
Pretty much.
He's your fifth wing.
He's your fourth
but
wing.
He can shoot.
No, he's not. He's below Jordan Walsh on the depth chart. Guaranteed.
He can shoot better than Jordan Walsh, so he's already higher than Jordan Walsh.
No.
Yes, he can.
He's 35 for his career.
He's like a 40%
He's 40% the last three seasons.
The last couple seasons, yes, but his overall, he's at 35. But yes, last couple years, he's closer to 40. Trending up. As he gets older, you hang back at the three-point line, and that's what you do. You age a little bit. I'm just going to hang back here and shoot a little bit. And that's cool. We get it.
I think probably a big part, based on Brad's pregame, I think a big part of whoever they were going to sign was just making sure that they weren't going to be like a locker room issue, that they weren't.
This is not what I want. Not what I want. Sorry. Didn't mean to go full on me. Go ahead, Noah. Sorry.
I was like, what's the bit? I don't get it.
I just accidentally pressed the wrong button.
So yeah, I think I'm sure that they, I asked Brad today about whether they feel like they need a new voice, a new personality in the locker room, and he said that can be also risky. So we want to make sure that somebody that is kind of okay not playing was the impression I took away from it. So they must have had some conversations with him, and I'm sure his expectation is really not to be at all part of this rotation, given the fact he literally wasn't in the league as of yesterday. It's kind of like winning the lottery, honestly, being one of the buyout guys and getting to go to the Celtics right now, because your odds are not high with how many guys are available. So I like the fact that he has 75 games of playoff experience. He can shoot, and he's a veteran, because I feel like I'd rather that than another one of these young guys that has a trajectory to develop that's probably not going to play this year. So it was fun. It was good. It was a good distraction for this game to read up a little on Torrey Craig during the game while they were getting crushed. So.
Yeah,
Facts, my dog.
I think he could be good insurance, but again, health permitting. I don't know how healthy he is.
And you're not going to need him to be, the best shape, because you're not going to play him that much. I mean, if he's out there for 15 minutes, something went really wrong in that game, or it went amazingly awesome. Yeah. Or it's just completely out of hand and you're up by 40 or 50 points. You just want to make sure your main guys don't get hurt.
Why did it take so long for Hauser to get in the game? I feel like he didn't get into his normal rotation. Is he still hurting? Are they being cautious with him, limiting his minutes? He didn't play as much the other night as well. Something's
yeah, the
off
ice
there,
pack
right?
on his back, right?
Had the ice pack on.
I can't imagine limiting his minutes if he played.
He did not come in that first substitution, which he has been there with Pritchard and coming in, and Al. Didn't happen.
I'm wondering, did that have something to do with the fact?
Which is even weirder, considering
Right.
they were down a man. But anyways, go ahead, Sherrod.
Yeah.
Sorry.
No, I was just gonna say I'm wondering if that had something to do with the fact that Klay Thompson was so ridiculously hot, and they would rather have a better defender out there than him. Which makes me think about Jaden Springer, who probably would have been the one they would have thrown in there. It's okay. No, I'm sorry. It would
have been a Jaden Springer moment.
Fresh.
It would have absolutely been a Jaden Springer moment, and we got robbed of it because of luxury.
I was feeling that too.
We've been robbed. Where are my rings?
We could get Jaden Springer on the podcast. He's got some time.
Now you get a Torrey Craig moment, Noah.
I don't want a Torrey Craig moment.
You're gonna like.
I will say though, I do feel like Sam Hauser was getting cooked by Clay, and I don't know that it was Sam Hauser's fault because Clay is obviously he's a great scorer when he gets in that zone. But I was kind of like I always like Sam checking into the game, but I was sitting up there being like, just take him out because this is really painful and put somebody on him that's going to harass him. And Pritchard did a little bit of a better job, but once he's hot, it's like a little bit too late at that point. But that's probably what like I was like really hoping that they would sub him out. So if his minutes ended up being lower in the first half, I think we were all probably on the same page. Just Clay was really taking it to him.
Yeah, it was bad. It was bad.
I was OG Clay.
Yeah, that was fun.
Lit them up 8 to 10 in 8 minutes.
Yeah, he was something. Also, for those out there, Kyrie Irving again. I know Jimmy loves this. Predictably got booed again every time he touched the ball. I find it so boring and tired. As boring and tired as I find it when Tatum and Brown dap him up after the game and like look at him all starry-eyed. Even though he tried to ruin their careers and get
even though he
traded.
tried to trade Jaylen. Yeah,
tried to trade Jaylen. But
which he confirmed again 2 days ago.
But here's Kyrie after the game, I'm sure taking credit for the Jays' success or something.
And to be honest with you, I was just trying to keep it as another game, but I'll be lying to you guys if I say I'm not aware of the record I have in this building since 2020 or 2021. It's more of a motivation factor for me than anything now, because they're the best of the best. They are champions in our league until another champion's crowned. And, you want to play your absolute best against them, and they're going to do everything in their power to stop me. And
you gave him his best shot.
I've said it in the past, but I feel like they feel, and we both feel like they know my game well enough. Send a lot of double teams at me, a lot of different reads that they force me in, but it only makes me better. And I'm just grateful, man. This is what competitive basketball is about, competitive sports. It's just continuing to get better and going against the best of the best and coming out with the W, doing whatever it takes to win.
Something, journey, something. But yeah, there's Kyrie. He did it.
The young guy.
He won.
Yeah,
he hadn't done it in a while.
Yeah, congrats, I guess. But we're still going to boo your ass every time you come here.
I don't care about the booing. Jimmy loves it. Jimmy wants blood.
Jimmy loves
it. It's funny. It's fun. It's fun. Fun thing about being a fan, man.
I don't think people feel it.
You're not a fan, so you would.
I think he feels it.
He does.
Of course he does. He's barely can ever friggin' win here. It's called having. Once in a while you get a little bit home court advantage. I know it doesn't feel like it because the Celtics lose in Boston every chance they get. But if you can get an edge somehow and get in an opposing player's head, why wouldn't you? That's the whole freaking point. Why are we making why are we care about home court advantage if you got to sit on your hands for 48 minutes?
You're not wrong.
Come on. Everyone needs to lighten up a bit.
Yeah.
Bobby hates it too.
I don't hate it. I just think it's forced. But as Noah said and you said, it's so over. I don't believe people actually still feel it like this visceral reaction. I think it's out of habit. But you're right. And Noah, said it too. It clearly bothers him.
I don't mind the booing when the crowd is a good crowd. Like tonight, they were cheering loud. They were invested when they were down by 15, and they were booing. So it's like you did the whole thing. But sometimes I feel like there's like not a great crowd in here, and the only thing they're focusing on is just booing Kyrie and like barely even like engaged in the game otherwise. So that's what annoys me. But I felt like this was one of the best home crowds of the season. So sorry to them.
They did a lot of booing tonight because they booed their own team on the way out too.
Yeah.
So at least they had something to have fun tonight doing, John. There really wasn't much to cheer for. That's for sure. So I'm fine with it. I mean, keep it in line. I'm not saying be disrespectful, but hey, if you can boo a guy every time he touches the ball, do it. Why not? They should boo more. They should boo more opposing players.
Breaking news: Judah just got run into by somebody.
Wow.
Some dummy backed into his plow. That's not great. Sorry,
Your
Juno.
bumper is stuck on it.
Bobby, if you leave like that, you got to tell me because I got to do this.
It, Bobby.
I can't just leave holes in my show.
This guy thinks he can do anything.
It's just freaking big holes there. What else do we have?
I'm leaving, John. I'm leaving.
Wait.
I've been kicked out of my spot. I'm giving you a heads up.
Oh my god! Oh my god! Oh my god!
I'm
gonna
like the
miss
last thing they haven't set up, broken up yet.
Wait,
Okay,
you're
gonna
leaving
miss our
for
bit.
good?
I can come back, but I have to relocate.
Nah, it's okay. We'll wrap it up.
We
We
gotta
want to play
everyone.
this for you before we go. We want to play this before we go. I wanted it for Noah before we left. That's Jackson Tolliver working behind the scenes.
She definitely saw it, but she had to get up.
Captain Brown is in the building.
Good job, Jackson.
Breaking news with a question mark. I love to see it. Jaylen Brown is captain.
Let's play that one more time. I wanna see that. That was some A+ editing. Let's see this one more time. Oh my god. Hey, it's breaking news only to us. Who knew? The rest of the world knew about this but us, John and Sherrod.
Apparently, Louise came in here. She's like, "Oh yeah, he's the captain." I guess we didn't know.
Yeah,
We
he's the
didn't know.
captain. Well,
It's all good.
the captain was drafted last tonight.
That was a tough one.
In the
Yes.
All-Star game draft
Mr.
on TNT.
He was Mr. Irrelevant. Wow.
And,
Yeah.
And by the way, there were 3 teams in this one. So I feel like it's even harder to get drafted last when there's 3
Jimmy's having
teams
some
going around.
kickball PTSD right now.
Yeah.
Thinking of this.
I'm off the hut seat. I'm off the hut seat now.
Being picked last in homeschool
grade.
is really traumatic.
5th grade kickball. I'll never get over it.
Last on the homeschool team is really tough.
They picked my brother before me. Oh man. Yeah, that was a tough one too.
Speaking of indignities, there may be none greater. There may be none greater than Marcus Smart being sent to the Wizards.
Oh,
Poor
Yeah.
They don't even need winning basketball in Washington. Like winning plays, Marcus.
Right. Why would you need winning plays?
That's the opposite of what they're looking for. Yeah, that's tough. I can't imagine he's going to be on that team long.
No. And
Right?
just to clarify, because a lot of people on Twitter don't have it right, the Celtics were like, if they buy him out, that's who we want to get. You can't. Anybody who makes more than the mid-level prior to being bought out cannot be brought in by the Celtics. That still leaves the Celtics still do have a 15th spot should they choose to use it. But we will
What about
see it.
Tice?
Tice is a possibility.
Tice is floating around there. I feel like it's destiny that Tice ends up back on this team. I always felt like there was unfinished. There was an unfinished like chemistry that needed to be.
Yeah.
They need to get back together. We'll see. I feel like Celtics fans love Tice.
I could see Brissett too, because you need an energy guy. I wouldn't be stunned
Brissett
at this point, but we'll see.
That's Bobby's music.
Yeah.
We didn't even get to talk Luke tonight. Is Bobby coming back?
Nah, we're done. We've done enough. We've done enough.
Right. We'll have to do it.
We've
again
done enough. We learned something too.
We'll skip Blame Pie tonight. We'll do it the next loss.
No.
I imagine there will be at this rate.
Bobby and Noah are off to New York. We'll have another show as always because that's what we do. We do not quit. We are here for you. So please, tune in again. We'll be back on Saturday when they take on the Knicks once again. You're going to watch the big game. You want to sign up for Prize Picks. Download that app. New users play 5, get 50 instantly when you sign up. And Game Time, if you want to check out, you want to go to MSG, why not? Fun place to see a game. Otherwise, go check out
Great
Wemby
place.
and the Celtics when they get back to town 6 days from now. Download the app, create an account, CLNS, $20 off your first purchase. Celtics lose to an understaffed, undermanned Dallas Mavericks team without Derek Lively, Caleb Martin, and Anthony Davis, recently acquired. They go down 127-120. It was not that close. This was a tough game. Close. Not close at all. We will be back on Saturday. My voice is toast. This was all I could do. The trade deadline show.
All right, guys.
We'll see you guys later. No one's sneaking a vegan brownie by me, I'll tell you that.
Okay, you know what, John? We're going to do it.
You have to feel that way too, Bobby.
I have to feel that way. Let's
Yeah.
slide Al over and make Luke your first center.
Bobby, we gave you Luke hour early. We're not going to end this on a damn conversation about Luke